And welcome. If everyone could find their seats. Good evening and welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order. Today's Wednesday, May 27th, 2026, and it's 6:30 p.m. For those interested in public comment later, we'll be using comment cards tonight. They can be found near the exit door, and you can bring them up to our clerk. We'll begin with the Nisenan tribe recognition. Gary, you said you'd like to read that for us?
I would be happy to read that. We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand that we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
Thank you, Gary. Would the Vice Mayor like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. Please join me in pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Lou. Madam Deputy City Clerk, roll call, please.
Good evening.
Who's that?
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson,
Here.
Councilmember Fleming,
Yep, here.
Councilmember Fernandez,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sisi,
Here.
Mayor Klein,
I'm here.
all present.
Thank you very much. Council, now's the time for any agenda modifications. Would you like to make any additional changes to the agenda, pull consent items, or do we have any recusals to announce?
I think we want to pull the minutes so that we can discuss some minor changes.
Agreed. We're going to pull the minutes from the consent. I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda minus the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion from Gary, a second from Daniela. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We'll come up to that next. We're going to start the evening with presentations. Why, it's only Joanna Newsom Day, everybody. Whereas the City Council of the City of Nevada City has proclaimed July 2025 through June 2026 as the year of advanced music appreciation, recognizing the contributions of musicians and music to the cultural vitality of our community. And whereas Joanna Newsom, a child of Nevada City, but more technically a child of Drs. William and Christine Newsom, has achieved international recognition as a singer, songwriter, harpist, and pianist. And whereas Joanna Newsom's recorded output from her 2004 debut, The Milk-Eyed Mender, to her 2006 masterpiece, Ease, her ambitious 2010 triple album, Have One on Me, and her fourth album and most fully realized artistic statement to date, 2015's Divers, have earned her overwhelming critical acclaim and legions of mainly well-intentioned fans all over the world. And whereas Joanna Newsom performed her compositions in important places like the Don Baggett Theater, Cafe Mecca, and the Magic Theater, before making the lateral move to venues like Carnegie Hall, the Royal Albert Hall, and the Sydney Opera House. And whereas Joanna Newsom has included other local artists in her endeavors with talented community members like Noah Georgeson, Tim Green, Greg Moore, Tom Moore, Neil Morgan, Emily Newsom, and Pete Newsom performing on her albums, Ariella Daly and Katie Jean Harden performing with her for live audiences, and gifted local visual artists like Rich Good, Emily Prince, and Benjamin Vierling creating her striking album artwork. And whereas Joanna Newsom has been a reliable ambassador of Nevada City, praising the community in many interviews, sharing her appreciation for our culture, the river, and the harp teacher of her youth, local treasure Lisa Stein, and telling Vice magazine in 2004 about a Nevada City party she'd once attended where colorful local character Monster John, hold for applause, punched out a man who, upon regaining consciousness, declared himself Theragat the Wolf God, a tale which has not yet been added to the literature available from the Nevada City Chamber of Commerce. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Nevada City hereby designates May 27th, 2026 as Joanna Newsom Day in the City of Nevada City and encourages residents to recognize and celebrate her artistic accomplishments and contributions to the cultural life of the community, dated this 27th day of May, 2026. Ms. Newsom, you're known as a woman of few words. Would you like to give any remarks?
Yes, please.
Please come to the podium.
Like this?
Yeah, just like
All right.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Klein. This proclamation truly means more to me than a Grammy or any other award could. Nevada City, you're so dear to me. Being formally recognized as your native daughter is one of the highest honors I can imagine. There are so many things that I wanted to squeeze in up here. My first draft of these remarks was edging into filibuster territory, so I had to do a little editing. But of course, I need to start by thanking Mayor Klein, not only as a mayor, but as my friend, my lifelong friend. Adam was one of the first people I ever played my music for, 30 years ago-ish, or give or take. And since then, he's been an unwavering source of encouragement for me and for so many other people in the community. He's also arguably the reason I have a career. When I first started recording my little demo CDRs and handing them out to friends just for personal use, Adam took it upon himself to pass one off to Will Oldham, who was a musician passing through town performing at the Magic Theater, then known as the Magic Theater. Will brought it back to his label, Drag City, out of Chicago, and a couple weeks later, I heard from Dan Koretsky from Drag City offering to put out my record, and thus began a 25-ish year relationship that has been so wonderful with that record label. And when I look back on it, it does represent pretty much the only path down which I could have made records the way I want to and wanted to. And if I couldn't have done that, I wouldn't have made them. So thank you, Adam. Your mayoral term, which of course most of us have seen coming since the day we met you, has been designated the year of advanced music appreciation. And I think you're really onto something. Our town has always been full of musicians, and our music has always been full of this town, all of us. Nevada City shows up reliably in many of our songs again and again, not as set dressing, but as a central character, an abiding preoccupation, an object of devotion, a nagging riddle, a callous adversary, a fountainhead of longing and love, consternation and mystery, ghostliness and devotion, scarcity and abundance. The spirit of this place forms us and changes us and haunts us and drives us away and calls us back and compels us to stand out on the Highway 49 overpass waving signs and doing everything we can to protect this town that is so dear to us. It seems strange. I'm going to get my water, sorry. Oh, sorry. It seems strange that such a small town could have such potency for so many of us in so many different ways. And this town was even smaller when Adam and I and many of you were growing up here. But turns out that the size of a child's world is not dictated by the amount of people who live in their city or the square mileage or its proximity to an airport or a mall. And in this case, I grew up in this town and my world was enormous. Life here was about as full as I think it could have been anywhere else. But what I loved about life here growing up was that it left room for some emptiness and some loneliness and some space, which all led to so much noticing. I think all of these musicians who came out of this town have had a chance to do a lot of that, and I think it makes a big difference. At risk of getting too pedantic up here, one thing I've noticed is that often when we talk about Metaphor, we're actually talking about simile. We're poetically likening one thing to another thing. And similes are very handy. I myself have bandied about more than my fair share along the way, but I've come to prefer the quiet authority of a true metaphor, not saying that something is like another thing, but saying that it is that thing, and performing this feat of semantic transmutation so vividly and so concretely that the reader accepts it as truth. I know the city council likes to keep things positive, and I didn't come here to wage a smear campaign against the humble simile, but I know that we all agree that Nevada City is a rare and special place that has produced more than its fair share of writers and artists and musicians. And I've come to believe that there's a reason that the artistic voices of its offspring tend to be so singular and saturated and vivid. Simile, who, again, he's a great guy. There's no bad candidates in this room. But simile requires little more than imagination and intelligence. Simile, by dint of its phrasing, seems to doubt itself. It's polite and socialized, and it leaves room for the possibility that others see the world in a different way. Semantically speaking, metaphor doesn't apologize or try to justify itself. A proper metaphor hurdles its audience deep into the private mythological landscape of the writer. It imparts upon its audience a sudden, bracing fluency in the writer's private symbolic language. Metaphor is artless and unaffected and feral. You could say it's raised by wolves, but more to the point, it's raised outside of words. A good metaphor makes me shiver, as if a ghost has passed through my body, because in a way, it has. Metaphor is a kind of immortal certainty. You might not agree lastingly with the words you're reading. You might not even be able to later recall the electric sensation of summoning and possession and resurrection that shot through you when you encountered this writer's words. But in that one moment, you walked freely within their symbolic domain, preserved and untouched and momentarily more tangible than your own. In that moment, the fog never could have rolled in on anything besides little cat feet. I mention all this in the context of our local musical output because metaphor, it seems to me, is the privilege and the birthright of those of us who've had the opportunity during our formative years to be alone, to be in silence, and to be naturalized to and unafraid of those things. It certainly helps to grow up in nature, though I don't think it's a requirement. And if you're really lucky, it helps to grow up surrounded by adults who, without condescension, recognize the indisputable sovereignty of a child's own meaning-making of the world they see, and recognize the authority and the completeness of their poetry and their music and their art, without feeling compelled to question or compliment or applaud or critique, and certainly not to help. My father was one of those adults. I really wish he could have been here today. This whole situation would have tickled him hugely. My wonderful dad, Bill Newsome, who many of you knew and loved, was my earliest literary influence and the most important ambassador of the written word I've maybe ever encountered. When I was 4 or 5, my dad invented a game called Poetry Racing, in which my brother and sister and I had to run full speed around our lawn between 3 sugar maple trees, and at each tree we had to stop and ad-lib a poem based on whatever unhinged prompt was shouted at us by the other players. And stalling or hesitation on the part of the poet-athlete, would rack up a variety of erratic penalties, making an already formless, maniacal game even more impossible to win. But that did not stop us from playing it for hours and hours. Kids are born with their channels of improvisation thrown wide open, and my dad endeavored to keep them that way. When I was a teenager, Dad enlisted me to give him poetry lessons, which I later realized were basically an elaborate grift on his part to get me thinking and talking about process. These so-called lessons, scam lessons, consecrated a space for me to distill and scaffold my ideas about writing through ostensibly teaching my dad how to write poetry. In doing so, I was compelled to interrogate myself and build a case for everything I believe that writing should be and should not be. Well, my sweet dad sat on the floor, gamely nodding and jotting down notes and taking a crack at my juvenile poetic prompts. Meanwhile, all this time, my wonderful mom, Chris, spent my childhood steadily naturalizing us kids to the world of music by demonstrating her encompassing love of music and doing everything she could to enable us to form our own private relationship with music. I remember lying on the floor as a toddler underneath my mom's piano, suspended in the swirling vibrations of Debussy and Chopin. My mom always had a record playing, always. Classical records, folk records, bluegrass, albums of West African and South African and Celtic and Paraguayan and Andean and Appalachian music. She used to transcribe the chords of my favorite songs by their letter names so I could play them on the harp, despite my enduring refusal to learn how to read sheet music. So she'd be like, C, D, F, so I could play it. She was the band leader and the accompanist and the arranger and the chauffeur and the stagehand for so many of the many musical projects that my siblings and I undertook over the years. And she always took and showed such evident radiant joy in listening to us play. And when I fell in love with the most cumbersome, expensive instrument that a child could ever hope to wrestle into a minivan, my practical and frugal mom did not bat an eye. But it was, of course, Lisa Stein, my extraordinary harp teacher, who gave me the tools to develop my own musical equivalent of a private symbolic vocabulary. Let's call it the harmonic version of that same self-certainty that distinguishes metaphor from simile. From the first day I sat down in front of the little harp that Lisa placed before me, there was no doubt in my arrogant, uncorrupted little brain that whatever music I was moved to create was worth as much as whatever any other composer had to say. I was 5, by the way. I know now as a mom how hard it is to avoid the moments of accidental influence we might be tempted to impose upon our children, creative suggestions and criticisms and even glowing compliments. All of these forms of feedback, positive or negative, turn a child's attention outwards and focus their awareness on how their work might be heard and received rather than focusing their awareness on how it feels to create that work. My teacher, Lisa, was and is gifted with an incredible sense of how to foster true creativity. I can so clearly remember my earliest harp lessons where Lisa would play a repeating chordal pattern with her left hand on her big harp, and I would freely improvise on my own little harp over her steady harmonic bass. This blew my mind, completely blew my mind. I can't emphasize to you enough how important this was for every aspect of the rest of my life. The ability to compose is rooted in keeping those improvisational channels open and traversable, well lit, well maintained, just as my dad's poetry races aimed to keep our linguistic channels open, sharpening and amplifying our own intuition and our own reflexive response around whatever harmonic or poetic stimuli happen to be screamed our way. I will always be grateful to Lisa, a true treasure of our community, and her miraculous practice of improvisation, which for so many other music teachers would have been an afterthought. The autonomy that Lisa imparted on me was as important as all my free-range, forest rambling childhood days put together, and I can't begin to guess how many other people in this community feel the same way about her. There are, of course, so many other teachers that I owe deep thanks to, more than I can list. A few who come to mind are my 3rd grade teacher, Marcia Darden, who set off my decades-long obsession with Nevada County history and lore, my 5th grade teacher, Carol Nimick, who introduced me to the fundamentals of plant identification, animal tracking, reading science in nature, and cultivating self-sufficiency in nature, all ultimately in the service of establishing that deep practice of noticing. And especially my 11th grade English teacher, Mrs. Parker, who taught us The Sound and the Fury in such a forensic and explosively revelatory way that I felt like I was learning to read again from scratch, and who instilled in me a ferocious desire to be actually good at writing. The generosity and sacrifice and passion of our teachers in this community set the tone of our relationship with that ecosystem of curiosity and research and patience and resiliency, courage, serendipity, and self-confidence that on a good day allow us to access the transcendent joy of speaking in our own creative voices. This town is full of incredible teachers, drawn here, I think, by the same thing that made it special for us to grow up here: gold. Just kidding. But it is my understanding that today I'll be receiving the key to the mine shaft at Empire Mine. Yeah, okay, wonderful. Well, I have rambled and I haven't scratched the surface of why I love it here and why I love being from here, why I'm so proud to be from here. I've gone down a lot of tangents about grammatics, which I think we can all agree were justified and not a reflection of the fact that I wrote this at 2 a.m. last night. And, of course, led to a slam dunk of a payoff. Mostly, I want to thank you all deeply and let you know that my Empire Mine Shaft door is always open if you want to come down and say hi.
And that's why she gets a key.
Wow.
I gotta say this into the mic. This was made by Liam at the Curious Forge. This is the silhouette of Broad Street. Carried at the ribbon. So I can take a picture?
Yeah, let's take a
Okay.
These meetings just get better and better.
Now we're gonna take a couple. Like 4,000. Okay. And
Would the rest of the council like to join us?
Absolutely.
do you want to bring the proclamation?
I could have never put together an explanation of civil. Check the differences with you.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Again. A little closer. Okay. Everybody's eyes are open. Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Gotta do one for them.
The proud.
We're not done. We've got another camera going.
For those of you who don't usually show up to our meetings, we do this at every meeting. Okay, next we've got another proclamation. I'd say equally as exciting, but this is for National Public Works Week, so 7 times as exciting. Are our Public Works buddies close by?
We have a couple of them here.
We have a couple.
I saw Brian earlier.
Come hang out, Public Works buddies.
Shane. Shane. David.
Our 2 favorite people.
I had to bring the good-looking one with me.
I try.
The contrast is amazing.
Isn't it?
Brutal.
That's awesome.
We're recognizing National Public Works Week, May 17th to 23rd, 2026. Whereas the City of Nevada City relies every day on the dedication and expertise of public works professionals to maintain the infrastructure, services, and public spaces that support the health, safety, resilience, and quality of life of our community. And whereas in a historic community like Nevada City, public works staff play an especially important role in caring for aging infrastructure, maintaining streets and utilities, responding to storms and emergencies, protecting our natural environment, supporting community events, and preserving the character and functionality of the city for residents and visitors alike. And Whereas these essential services are made possible through the hard work and commitment of Public Works employees, engineers, operators, maintenance staff, managers, and support personnel who serve the community with professionalism, creativity, and pride. And whereas the City of Nevada City wishes to recognize the contributions of the following Public Works team members and staff. Shane Kinney, Public Works Superintendent. My sweet special boy.
Thank you.
Josh Blackston, Maintenance Worker 2. Bob,
Grown-ass man.
Bob Sanchez, Maintenance Worker 1. David Scafani, Maintenance Worker 1. Jesse Olson, Maintenance Worker 1. Bradley Muller, Maintenance Worker 1. Todd Chavis, Maintenance Worker 1. And all those whose daily efforts help keep Nevada City safe, functional, welcoming, and vibrant. And whereas it is important that residents, businesses, and future generations understand and appreciate the vital role Public Works programs play in sustaining strong and resilient communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, be it resolved that the City Council of Nevada City do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week in Nevada City and encourage all residents to recognize the dedication, service, and contributions of our public works staff who help make Nevada City such a special place. Dated this day, 27th day of May, 2026. Would you care to give some remarks? Try to keep it in around the 30-minute range.
30, 45 minutes, even though I love to hear myself talk.
time.
I'm sorry that some of our room left. So here's the special part.
Into the mic, Shane.
Complicated, yeah.
Is appreciating being able to serve each one of you guys here in Nevada City, doing what we do on the daily. Like I said, I brought my best looking one, but if you ever see us out on the streets, even though we look a little rough and tumble, say hi. Keep it to a minimum. We have a job to do, but come say hi to us. We're really appreciative of the job we do, and we appreciate each one of you guys that we can do that job for. So with that, thank you. Appreciate it.
Does the good-looking one want to say anything?
Oh, man, it's gonna be hard to beat that one. No, you know what? Thank you guys very much for giving me this job. I wouldn't be here without, well, Shane, Mr. Falcone for hiring me. I'd like to thank, well, how about my dear mother for, you know, this is the one who you meet, that's who raised me. So, and last but not least, my former teacher, Mrs. Luckenbill. You know? And hey, not bad, right? Yeah. Hey, but also, you know, how Shane said, all of you. You know what, you really make the job worthwhile. And they say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So, you know, here we are. Thank you very much, guys.
Beautiful.
I've got some proclamations for the whole team, and I think my friend Gary wants to say something.
I do, as a former Public Works Director. Yeah, I know. I know what you're supposed to be doing. You guys are great. You guys are so good. You're so creative. You're so competent. And we know you love it, but you make us all look so good. But you're there in the middle of the night. You're there when it's raining. You're there when the weather is the worst. But you're out there and you get the job done every time. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's take some pictures with these guys.
Yes.
Hey!
Wait for that. That's the part you guys don't get to see when we're here at 2 o'clock in the morning, taking care of all the bad stuff. Let it slide in a good way. There you go. Get my big feet.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. I'll take just as many. Keep your eyes open. All right. Good.
Yay! Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll see you. All right.
I just want to say something real quick. Yeah. Shane, I think the fact that you turned around and spoke to the people in that moment says everything we need to know about you. So I just want to say,
Turn my back on you guys.
no, it was perfect. It was perfect. I see you.
We're not important.
Like-
They're important.
Yeah, no, good man.
No. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, it's time for public comment. Government Code, Section 54954.3 provides that any member of the public may address the city council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the city, the council, or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The council cannot take action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on the consent calendar and each agenda item at the time it is heard. Having said all that, do we have any public comment tonight on matters not on the agenda? We've got the, oh yeah, you've got the cards.
Yes.
You want to start
these
reading
are
out names?
items not on the agenda. Gordon Gossage.
For the record, I'm Gordon Gossage of Regenesis Planet. I'm here to propose the creation of a Nevada County Student Civic Recruitment Corps, a youth-led, nonpartisan civic engagement program through which high school students, working with educators, the Youth Commission, and community partners, would invite more adults to participate in public life and help ensure that those who do participate better reflect the full range of our Nevada County neighbors. The purpose is modest. Students would help residents learn about public meetings, receive information about upcoming issues, and decide for themselves whether to attend, submit their views in writing, or offer 3-minute public comments. Students would not advocate for any policy position, they would simply invite participation. This mattered because local decisions about housing, wildfire resilience, public services, land use, and community character affect everyone. Yet public meetings often hear from only a small and unrepresentative subset of residents. Many people don't participate because of work schedules, childcare, unfamiliar procedures, or the simple fact that no one has asked them. This is not a criticism of public bodies or existing participants. It is a participation gap. Some residents become habitual commenters, while many others remain unheard. A student civic recruitment corps could help narrow that gap while giving students a real-world civic learning experience. Students could be trained as neutral civic ambassadors who ask a fuller range of adults whether they would consider receiving information about upcoming meetings and choosing for themselves whether to attend, comment, or speak. Interested adults would opt in through a secure online form managed by adults, not students. Over time, the program could help build a participation pool that better reflects Nevada County by geography, age, renter or homeowner status, and other appropriate community attributes. The safeguards are essential. The program must be nonpartisan, voluntary, privacy conscious, and viewpoint neutral. Students recruit participants, not positions. Adults speak entirely for themselves. I'm speaking with educators, youth commission members, and interested community leaders to launch a pilot during the 2026-27 school year. This would strengthen civic education for students and expand the number and range of Nevada County residents who participate in our democracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon.
Perfectly timed.
Yeah, you practiced that. Who's next, Donna?
Randy Custo.
Hi, Randy. Come on up.
I glanced down my notes. I'm not a public speaker.
Sure.
No worries.
Anyway, thank you very much for letting me speak freely here for a minute on a concern that seems to be developing that at least I just became a little more aware of. I attended a meeting with a developer that is planning on or wanting to pursue approvals for a high-density housing project, which is the HEW building. So I just wanted to respond to that since I don't know how far that has gone yet, but my plea would be to try to create some sort of residential neighborhood commensurate with what's already there, but maybe like affordable housing for quarter to half acre parcels that would be more sustainable. People could have gardens, that sort of thing. My concern is the high density with the traffic problems, pedestrians, bicyclists, and the location of it, every access, ingress or egress, for that area has to go through small neighborhoods into downtown, whether you're trying to get onto the freeway. So you already know the constraints of that. And I have a home on Willow Valley Road. And so that additional traffic combined with, I've been in the fire service for 40 years, probably a little more than that now. And the concern of evacuation emergencies, we already have a problem. It's already been mapped out, high fire risk area for that whole area. And to put high density housing into a very small constrained area with roads that were not designed for that many more cars. Even when the HEW building was active, it was still business hours. It wasn't the daily driving in and out. So I just wanted, I know that people will have a lot of other good ideas that would be probably as applicable as my ideas, but I would just like you to consider anything other than high density housing. I just don't think that's the right location for it. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Itara?
Tara.
Thanks for inviting me. My name's Itira. I live in Grass Valley. I spend a lot of time in Nevada City, and my topic is the flock cameras. I'm totally would like to see those removed from our county, period. We live in a out of control surveillance state, and we have an administration that's very careless about how they follow the law or don't follow the law. And all of the data that's being gathered on us is extremely concerning and upsetting and an invasion of our privacy. And so we hope that we can remove these cameras in Grass Valley and Nevada City and wherever else they are located in our county. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Atara.
Thanks, Atara.
Tony Kaiser?
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Tony Kaiser. I've been a resident and video systems engineer in the county for more than 25 years. I also am increasingly concerned with the proliferation of automatic license plate readers in the county. These are frequently referred to as flock cameras, but they go by many other names. Axon, Motorola, etc. all make products with the same security and privacy concerns. To clear up some terminology, these are not just license plate readers as their proponents refer to them. They are high-resolution, AI-enabled, night vision-capable, high-resolution surveillance cameras with always-on internet cloud connections. Not as catchy as ALPR, but certainly more descriptive of their actual capabilities and purpose. This is a 24/7 dragnet-style monitoring that poses a threat to the privacy of every citizen of Nevada County, monitoring that they did not sign up for and they are unable to opt out of. If I do not like the privacy terms from Gmail or Facebook or X or Blue Sky, I can choose not to use them. I, however, cannot not take my son to school or not go to the grocery store or not take my wife to the doctor without being tracked by the ALPRs installed in this county. This is not anti-policing, this is anti-surveillance. Surveillance is not security. Policing in a technical society requires technical tools for sure, but powerful tools such as these require powerful oversight, narrowly tailored warrants, judicial approval, not sending the movements of every citizen to a multi-billion-dollar data broker in another state to be harvested, mined, and used as training data in their AI models. Models that insurance companies, healthcare providers, advertising agencies, and political parties would pay dearly for. You'll hear proponents of flock-style surveillance systems state there is no reasonable expectation of privacy in public, but there is a difference between an isolated observation, your neighbor seeing you at the vape shop, your personal trainer catching you loading up on fast food, and automated area-wide surveillance. Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor notes that automated surveillance evades the ordinary checks that constrain abusive law enforcement practices, limited police resources, and community hostility. Across the country, cities are canceling their flock contracts due to concerns over privacy and abuse. Just this month, El Cerrito, California, Shoreline, Washington, and Appleton, Wisconsin have done so. Certainly we can do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Jason?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I want to speak tonight about trust, accountability, and whether this city should continue. I live in Grass Valley, but I'm in Nevada City all the time. I want to speak tonight about trust, accountability, and whether this city should continue doing business with a company whose own actions have repeatedly undermined its public assurances. When Flock Safety was introduced to communities across the country, residents were promised limited use, strong safeguards, transparency, and responsible handling of sensitive data. But over time, reports and public records from multiple jurisdictions have raised serious concerns about the data sharing, outside agency access, policy violations, and the broader expansion of surveillance capabilities beyond what many residents originally believed they were approving. This matters because surveillance systems are built on trust. Once a city allows a private company to create and manage a searchable database of people's movements, the public must have absolute confidence that the safeguards are real, enforceable, and consistently followed. If those safeguards fail repeatedly, the public has every right to withdraw its consent. The concern is no longer hypothetical. Communities across the country are increasingly recognizing the promises made at the beginning do not match the reality that has followed. A company that cannot consistently uphold its own assurances should not be entrusted with the infrastructure capable of monitoring the daily movements of innocent people. At some point, this stops being a conversation about policy tweaks and becomes a question of judgment. If a contractor repeatedly demonstrates weaknesses in transparency, accountability, and control over sensitive data access, the responsible action is not to expand the system or renegotiate terms. It is to end the relationship. Public safety matters. Constitutional rights matter also. And no private surveillance company is entitled to permanent access to our community simply because contracts were signed in the past. I urge this council to immediately terminate all Flock-related contracts and remove the surveillance infrastructure from our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Go?
Is it Gab?
Yes. I didn't know if it was G-A-U, sorry.
Hello, I live in Nevada City. Good evening, Mayor and council members. One of the biggest concerns surrounding flock safety, which is why I'm here and speaking out, is mission creeping. The gradual expansions of surveillance far beyond what the public was originally told. These systems are often introduced with emotionally pervasive promises, solving serious crimes, locating stolen vehicles, improving safety. But once the infrastructure is installed, the capabilities expand, data sharing expands, access expands, retention expands, integration expands, and slowly communities become accustomed to living inside permanent surveillance networks that would have faced enormous public opposition if proposed honestly from the beginning. That is why this issue matters so much. The public was not asked whether they wanted searchable historical records of vehicle movements to become a paramount part of everyday life. Most residents never voted for that. Most people never fully understood the long-term implications of building this infrastructure into our communities. Technology should never be adopted simply because it exists, or because that's what the trendy thing is. The question is whether it aligns with the values of a free society and whether the risk outweighs the benefits. When a private company continues expanding surveillance capabilities while concerns grow around accountability and access, local governments have a responsibility to step back and reconsider whether they are enabling something far larger than originally presented. This is not about the cameras, it is about the kind of community that we want to live in 5 or 10 years from now. And I urge the Council to terminate all Flock-related contracts and stop continued normalization of mass surveillance infrastructure being built into our city. Thank you.
Thanks, Gav.
Thank you.
Allison?
Hi. Hello. My name is Allison Birch. I currently live in Grass Valley, but I just moved from Nevada City. And I spent a long time as a artist who worked with surveillance. And this was like maybe 10, 12 years ago. And one of the things I learned is that everyone that called people crazy for worrying about this stuff, the crazy people were actually right. And I really appreciate this city. Like, I really appreciate this place. Thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for caring for this town. And one of the things that I was thinking about in just considering what to say here is I've seen some amazing old growth trees here. And I'm sure you've seen the same, trees that are hundreds of years old. And one of the things I've really connected with these trees is that someone somewhere, probably hundreds of people, had to protect each of these trees. Like, they didn't just stay, someone protected them. And I feel like this is actually very similar to our freedom. You know, it's really easy to just give a kid a phone and have the phone raise the kid. It's really easy to say that cameras are going to make us safer, but each of these things is going to encroach on the other. And soon we're living in a place where we're just watched all the time. And we were talking about music earlier, and I love music. Like, I'm passionate about music. And one of the things that like drives me insane right now is that all of the things I see is AI music. Like, it's not a real person. It's just someone putting text into a computer and then it turns out music, but it misses the rawness of the music that I love. And so I just want to speak to the freedom that I believe is inherent in all of us, the freedom that we are free people, we're free to create, and the beauty in this town where we can be free from some of these more surveilling technologies that are going to encroach on all of us. And, you know, you drive from Nevada City to Grass Valley or Sacramento, obviously we're not stopping the flood of inundation of these technologies, but I would just love if there can be a little bit of consideration into what we're allowing, because it's really hard to say no after it's already there. It's really hard to uncut a tree down. And so yeah, thank you for that consideration.
Thanks, Allison.
Zach.
Hey guys. Yep, I'm also here to request that you cancel the flock contract. I think you will. It's the worst of the worst of the technology companies we have today. The CEOs, the investors are all deeply intertwined, and some of the worst atrocities happening in the world today. It was founded in Atlanta, Georgia, specifically to suppress freedom of speech from groups trying to resist forest destruction and police brutality in Atlanta, Georgia. Took off from there. It was really effective at quelling unrest from the public. That's what it's designed to do, and it's very good at doing that. It's still being used to suppress speech. It's being used to track women who are seeking reproductive health care across state lines and into states where it's legal to still get an abortion in this country. It's being used to assist ICE all over the place, even in states where that's illegal. And I know we don't have ALRPs, automatic license plate readers, in Nevada City, but there's no guarantee. You know, our cameras here are going to a cloud, and there's no guarantee that a federal agency isn't getting in there. So I think, without a doubt, it's just the worst of the worst of surveillance technology. Flock is a company that shouldn't exist, and I hope it, you know, with enough people canceling their contracts, it won't. I know in the past I could only find data from 23 and 24. It was like $18,000 just for the OS a year, just to keep them running. I know it's $3,000 a camera a year for the license plate readers. So, you know, it's a hefty amount of money I would caution you, if you do go down the route of getting rid of our flock contract, what you replace it with, please take the time and invest the money in getting public input on what we actually want. This is public money, it's public space that's being surveilled, it's people that are being surveilled in public. Motorola is no better. Axon is almost worse. I mean, they make Taser and all kinds of other lovely devices for suppressing public opinion. So, you know, just be thoughtful about what the public money is, you know, in the guise of safety being used to put up in our town. And please advocate in the city of Grass Valley and at the county and all your connections around town to kind of put a stop to this. I think it's 68 cities so far in the nation that have rejected this company, and we could easily be 69. Thanks.
Thank you, Zach.
Is it Liana Maddock?
It's making good pronunciation. Thanks for the time to chat with you guys. I'm Tiana Maddock. I think that's how you said it, huh? Yeah, pretty close anyway. I'm a homeowner and resident for almost 20 years, right across from the HEW site. And I also operate my preschool there for over a decade. And actually, thank you, Public Works, for hosting my preschool. They even let us use the excavator. The little kids, oh my God, talk about like a dream for a little child. So I'm here because I want to share some thoughts about HEW. My family is fully in support of housing at HEW. We really need housing. We're not in support of a large, high-density development there. We did support the city when LAFCO wanted the sphere of influence to be shrunk because we believe in the city's vision and planning skills. And we think the city's ahead of its time as far as including a lot of great affordable housing sites, roads, and utilities within the city that already are all set up, whereas the Hughes site would require extensive infrastructure and changes that would affect that neighborhood. Let me see, what else was I wanting to share with you guys? Oh, the other thing about that plan is that it does support or includes low-density housing at Hugh, which would protect the riparian area, the Deer Creek watershed, from erosion in that steep area and from pollution from high-density housing, would also protect the air quality problems that would come from high traffic and the safety issues on a tiny curvy road for high traffic. The other concern that another citizen from that area brought up is our evacuation routes, which already feel super impacted. Anytime there's an event in that area, it is almost impossible to get out of my house, and that's not an evacuation. So we're already concerned about evacuation, and I have a dozen kids that I have to be responsible for getting out safely, so that's a huge concern. I also feel like the plan protects kind of the magic of our town that, was it Joanna Newsom was speaking to. I loved her sweet presentation, and I feel like that magic requires a buffer, a rural buffer around a small town. So I just wanted to say I appreciate the city's vision and all the work that you guys have been doing. Please stand by your plan to support a low-density development at Hugh and a safe and healthy area outside of our city. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Jax.
Thank you. This is a little awkward. I'm Jax. I am a Native daughter as well, so nice to see another Native daughter doing so well. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I want to remind everyone tonight that constitutional rights are not outdated obstacles to technology. They are protections designed specifically for this moment. Flock safety systems create searchable records of people's movements and daily activities. That means residents, not suspects, not criminals, can have their travel patterns stored, searched, and shared through systems most people never fully understood or consented to. The concern is not one camera on one street corner. The concern is the normalization of mass surveillance infrastructure operated through private companies with expanding networks of data access and sharing. History shows that surveillance systems rarely stay limited. Powers expand, access expands, databases expand, and oversight almost always falls behind technology. That is exactly why constitutional safeguards exist in the first place. Governments and corporations should not simply be trusted with unchecked surveillance capability. The argument that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear is incompatible with a free society. Privacy is not suspicious. Freedom of movement without constant tracking is not suspicious. Wanting limits on surveillance is not anti-law enforcement. Public safety matters, freedom matters too. Once surveillance infrastructure becomes normalized, removing it later becomes far more difficult. This council still has a choice. I urge you to terminate any flock-related contracts and reject the continued expansion of mass surveillance in our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Jax.
Thanks, Jax.
I'm out of cards.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for that. We'll move on to the consent agenda minus the minutes. Dean, is that right? And we'll do the minutes before we go to business?
That's correct.
Okay. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. Before we take action on the consent calendar, we will hear any public comment on consent calendar items only. Do we have any public comment on a consent item? Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Second. Minus the minutes?
Minus the minutes.
Minus the minutes.
Minus the minutes.
I have a motion by Councilmember Fernandez and a second by Vice Mayor Sisi to approve the consent calendar. We'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sisi?
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes. Thank you. All right, and then the minutes from the May 13th, 2026 regular meeting. Lou and I noticed the same thing. You want to do the first one?
Sure. On page 1 of the minutes, public comment section says that we received public comment from 8 individuals listed below, and only 3 are listed, so I'd like to change that number from 8 individuals to 3 individuals.
And the other item was
on the last page of the minutes.
On the last page of the minutes, on the Zion Sacramento mobility plan, it says I abstained from voting when in fact I was absent because I had a terrible cold. So it should say absent instead of abstain for me on that item. And those were the 2 things we noticed.
Yes, and I apologize for signing that resolution without catching that error earlier.
How dare you?
I still like you, Lou. Now do we vote to approve? Oh, any public comment on that item? Shocked.
I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Peterson, a second by Councilmember Fernandez to approve that amended item.
With changes.
With changes. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yep.
Vice Mayor Sisi?
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes. Thanks very much, everybody. On to business. Everyone good? You need a bio or anything? Okay. All right, we're going to start with business item number 4, receive and update Coyote Street traffic analysis. Brian, it's our city engineer, everybody, Brian McAllister.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Brian McAllister, city engineer. So we're here to present an update on Coyote Street traffic analysis. Coyote Street parallels Highway 2049, the freeway, and it has a lot of connecting streets, including Washington Street, Broad Street, the highway itself, an off-ramp at Coyote Street. And it serves as a collector. So our streets are classified as arterial arterial or collector or highway. You know, this is a collector street, so it serves as a higher purpose than a local street. And there's been some concerns from residents, in particular about traffic volumes and speeds and potential changes that will result from projects that are coming up. And we've had workshops related to one of the projects, which is the multimodal corridor improvement project. Some of the comments that were addressed in those workshops have been incorporated into the design. The Caltrans is doing the design. And that project is focused on making the highway safer for pedestrians and bicyclists to cross. And so there's two other projects coming along. One is the highway intersection at 20 and 49 in Uren. Caltrans is doing the design on that. I've only seen a preliminary schematic of that design, but there will be workshops and environmental process associated with that project. And then the courthouse project, they're just getting started with the EIR, and that's the environmental review, which takes 6 to 9 months. There will be workshops related to that. So these three projects affect Coyote Street, and we're here to just describe the current traffic situation, which we've done traffic studies with one of these projects, the first multimodal corridor project, and there's 100 vehicles an hour at the peak hour, with 60% of the traffic traveling south into downtown, and speeds range from 23 miles an hour to 29 miles an hour. So it's in the range of the appropriate design for the street with the traffic volume and speed, but it's certainly something we have to keep an eye on, especially with more projects coming along. So we intend to do that when we review when we're given an opportunity to comment on the projects like the courthouse or the highway intersection. And we're also going to make sure notices are given so the public is also able to attend those workshops, make comments. So it's something we have to keep an eye on. So we're just here to give an update on the status of that street.
Great. Thank you. We take public comment now, then chat. Any public comment on this item?
You're here. Just an appreciation, really, that it's a consideration, because it's more than a street, it's also a neighborhood, and I think that's our main issue. So thank you, Brian. Thank you for everybody that's considering all of this.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, please.
So a number of things. Historically, I asked Bill Falcone about this, and Bill Falcone's response was, "Again?" It was kind of funny. I think he's been going on for a while. Certainly, there are issues there. This is, it's one of those things in a street where you can look at all the numbers and say, yeah, these numbers are really good for this street, until you look at the narrowness of it, the houses, the front yard proximity. There's a number of factors. So I'm not, but the issue right now is, what is to be done? And we absolutely have to understand the impact of the courthouse, 49 and 20 and 49. We have to absolutely do that before we can make the right decision about any changes, should they be required. Because there's a number of things that could happen. One of my biggest concerns is that something happens that moves that traffic to somebody else's neighborhood. We have to always keep that in mind. I always refer to that as squeezing the balloon, because the traffic doesn't go away. But where does it go? And that's a really important question. And pushing it into somebody else's neighborhood is problematic. Also, should the impacts, we need to understand how great the impact will be, particularly from the courthouse. And if that impact needs to be mitigated, Who knows who pays for that, but it may be the impact of the courthouse. So we need to understand that very well. And I think the most important thing is that there's work being done at 20 and 49, which I think we all agree is one of the biggest problems we all face. And then finally, when that courthouse goes in, and we're talking a lot about retail, and we're talking a lot about downtown, and we're talking a lot about sales tax, we're taking a whole bunch of jobs out of our core where people could walk to downtown, to the restaurants, to the retail. And how are we going to get that? How are we going to design this project so that they can get back into downtown? That's a really, really critical consideration. So it's a very complex issue, and it needs to be clearly understood. We will work, as we do with everybody, to get the best outcome that we can. But there's a lot to be learned and a lot we've got to know. It's going to get very technical. We're going to be working with, the big dogs, Caltrans. So let's see where it goes, but I appreciate it, Brian, because we really have a lot to understand before we can make the right decision. But we will make the right decision eventually. Thank you.
I have nothing new to add to that.
Yeah, so a couple of things. So I appreciate your points, and I always have. And we have to consider the greater projects that are there. You said again, when you talked to Bill Falcone, so there've been problems on this road for a long time, right?
Well, there's perceived problems on this road for a very long time.
So we're, one of our jobs is to protect neighborhoods, right? So, I mean, you make that as a negative, that people have been asking for this for a long time. And I don't think that's a negative. I think that says that for a long time, people have been trying to say that there's problems on this street. Now there's a new effort. I understand we don't want to spend money that we might not have to spend. But we also want more data. Brian was great in getting us some speed data. Speeding is not the issue. Speeding, in my mind, was never told to me that was the issue. It was about cut-through traffic and trucks. More and neighborhood character, I think, So this GHD study kind of indicated right now that there's problems that people have getting out of that street, crossing, and there's been problems identified on that street already. So we're talking about right now what's going on. And your point about impacting other streets is well taken. We don't want to do that. We don't want to fix this to cause problems elsewhere. That's something we do. But I think we need more data, and I think we need more data to inform the EIR. I think we need more data on our own street to say, here's what we have right now. Here's some of the impacts we have. Here's some of the studies we've done. We've done a temporary pilot to look at some impacts to see how it's affecting other things. I think we could do something that's low cost. Well, let me ask you a question, Brian. Were trucks studied, were vehicle types studied in that speed data? Or is it just all?
I'd have to take a look. I think so, because we were focused on also counting pedestrians and bicyclists, so I think everything was counted.
Excellent. So that's good data there to see how many trucks are going down there. I've walked down the street. I've seen people with broken windows. I've seen foundations that are broken. So there's real problems there. So I think that we could develop a traffic management, concept that would be temporary to see what happens when we change things a little way. Because what's going to happen is, and to your point of wanting to have people have access to downtown, that's going to factor in. But if that street is impacted by the courthouse and everything, we're going to have to make changes there.
I'm not disagreeing with that in the least, and
I know.
Doug,
You're saying the same things.
I don't need to hear the piece about the negativity. I think we did a really reasonable job looking at traffic, and I don't disagree that we need to do more of that, but we need to do that in the context of the EIR.
I think that we can inform the EIR with our own data, because they're not going to, the EIR is not going to study our streets. It's not. It's studying 49. I mean, they might have.
I don't think that's necessarily true.
Okay.
But we'll find out. We'll find out.
Anyway, I was just hoping that we can get some kind of, an ability to get some more data on this. And that's all I'm really asking for. Nothing permanent. We're not changing anything permanently. We're going to say, what happens when we do this here? What happens when we do this there, right? I don't think that's completely unreasonable.
That's fairly broad and vague to me.
You want more specifics?
I just, what, you want data, but you're also saying, what happens if we do this? What happens if we do that? That to me seems like solutions, not data.
Well, what you would do is you would have a temporary change and you would track the data from that change and say, what happens to Alexandra
Yeah.
Street? What happens to these other streets? Oh, okay, that wasn't a good solution. Let's try another one, you know? Anyway, I'm just
Well,
trying.
I'm not gonna, spend a lot of time on this, Doug, but I can't imagine a change on that street that wouldn't put traffic in other neighborhoods. And I've looked at it too, and I understand this stuff pretty well.
I know you do.
You want to send them up Orchard? You want to do that? You want to send them down Alexander? You want to do that? You
Well,
can't send
we,
them.
we
you
have
can't
to
send
find
them
out
on
what will really happen. You're speculating now, and I know you have a lot of
Well, they've got to go somewhere.
They've gotta go
institutional
somewhere.
knowledge.
I'm not just going to advocate for any changes until we understand what's happening. That's it. That's
Fair
what I'm
enough.
gonna be
You've always been there. I'm not trying to change your mind.
consistent with that.
I'm just making a plea to staff and to my other colleagues to see what we can do here.
Hi, Lou.
Hi. First of all, thank you, Bob, and the neighbors of Lower Coyote Street for bringing this matter to our attention. I always appreciate when the citizens speak up and say, there's a problem right here that you might not be aware of. And I've walked that street between the hours of noon and noon 30 and seen like 12 cars go by in just that 1 hour. And I'm noticing that the data, well, first of all, the report is dated 2019, but the data it's based on from Caltrans is dated 2018. And that's been a while now, and our traffic patterns could very well have changed since then. So I'd like to ask Brian, what would be the cost of doing another analysis, another count of the traffic on that street? I'm talking specifically between where the highway access enters Coyote Street and Highway 49, the off-ramp. and
So if
Highway
I
49.
could, a full traffic study of the entire area, I don't want you to necessarily ballpark that in a meeting that then we can use, number is being used. I'd rather come back with an actual traffic study.
Great.
Which also will be done with the EIR. And we did put in, I think it was a 3.5-page letter asking them to study items like Coyote Street when the notice of, what is it called? The
Notice of
NOP.
preparation.
Notice of preparation, so that as they are getting ready to do the EIR, they must look at what we've commented on and ask them to do. So frankly, we'll get that number for you, but we'd also like them to pay for the traffic study and get the data that we want out of the traffic study.
Fair enough.
And then if they don't do it the way we would like, and we have criticisms of their work or the contractor or what have you, we can then augment if we're not satisfied. But frankly, they're required to do at least that. The scope of what they do will be determined, and they will say what they will do with the EIR, and then we'll have another opportunity, as will everyone, to comment on the EIR.
Thank you. That's very useful. When do we expect that?
The judicial court said 6 months at the earliest, and it's already been a couple months. So I would expect 9 months or so.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, because I don't want us to wait until the courthouse is built before we say what we want and what we are seeing happening, impacting our own streets.
What is going to be very complex is for Brian and staff to manage the interconnections and overlap between the multiple projects, because we as a city have to be able to voice contradictions or issues that they might not be flagging because there's multiple projects happening at the same time. So that's kind of where I would be directing staff to spend time, is where are the overlaps and the interconnections being missed, and that's where we really jump in, because not everyone's seeing those things, because they don't live here, they don't know,
I mean, that was my initial issue with the 49 alterations, is that they were proposing all the roundabouts, but they were not taking into consideration the courthouse or the changes at 49 and 20. And you had all of these projects in a 1 mile thing, and nobody is still talking about the actual impact and time and inconvenience of what that many projects in that condensed of an area is going to create. And it's going to be a nightmare.
On a major road, yeah.
On a major road.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough.
And we are talking about it, so I think that's
No,
good.
no, I think it's really important. I think it's really
Nicely.
important, and, yeah.
And particularly the month of December, when we want people to be able to get in and out of the city very easily. So those are other conversations that we're having about how do we help navigate and manage the actual road work and have influence on that.
What happens
Giving
here in
us that
December?
context.
What?
Thanks for that context. It really helps.
And my last comment is I want to thank the council for bringing this matter as an agenda item so that we can all talk about it openly. Thank you.
Fair enough.
I agree very much with Gary that we just don't know what it's going to be until Caltrans, et cetera, starts their work. Being someone who drives on Coyote Street, it does feel very narrow. I don't know if we're going to have to, I've heard ideas of no left turn, right turn only, all these kinds of things. No trucks, whatever kind of signage, but we won't know until we know. But whoever is sitting in these seats at that point is going to have to be pretty limber. And we will have to move fast once actual projects start going to protect that neighborhood. So I thank everybody for the discussion. There's no action on this one. So we'll move on. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Send all the trucks to Nevada Street. They're already there.
They are. That's arterial.
12 cars in an hour. I've got 12 cars in 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, that is a major, that's not an arterial, that's a feeder.
That's what I wanted.
That report was done just
What?
That report was done in March.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they just did that.
Business item number 5, consideration of award of professional services contract with Mintier Harnish for preparation of the Nevada City 7th cycle housing element in an amount not to exceed $179,950.
We don't disagree that much.
Authorize a project contingency of up to $10,000 for CEQA compliance and authorize the city manager to sign the contract. Ladies and gentlemen, our planning director, Jessica Hankins.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Klein, council members. Okay, we've got the presentation up there. You can switch to the next slide there. Had it right the first time.
Steve's here. We're not on the budget yet.
Blue one.
There we go. Okay.
Thank
Do
you.
wanna,
I'll take the clicker.
Share's on. Try that out.
There we go. Okay, first a little bit of background. We had our 6th cycle housing element certified by the State Housing and Community Development Agency in 2019, and that's good for 8 years. So it takes us through 2027. We have to adopt the 7th cycle housing element no later than August 15th of next year, 2027. And I'll talk about what that means and why it's kind of a have to. HCD requires cities to update housing elements to plan for projected population growth and ensure local zoning can accommodate enough homes for all income levels. If we were to fail to update the housing element or acquire state certification for it, we could lose our local permitting authority, which would allow developers to bypass local zoning laws if they were to provide a percentage of units that are affordable. You may have seen that in the news. It's called builder's remedy. Non-compliant cities often risk the loss of crucial state grants, transit funds, and infrastructure investments. So it is important that we stay on track with this. So staff did issue a request for proposals to prepare the 7th cycle housing element. We sent it to 10 different housing element consultants in Northern California and posted it on our website so it was accessible to the full public from March 5th to the 27th of this year. We received 4 proposals. We had a selection committee on staff consisting of city admin and community development staff. We all scored the proposals individually, and then we came together, met, and discussed the proposals, and we are recommending Mintier Harnish as the housing element consultant. Mintier Harnish is a Sacramento firm who does a lot of work in rural communities in Northern California and across California. They have completed more than 80 housing elements, including several seventh cycle housing elements, which is very important because during each updated cycle, there are new requirements that can take consultants a little while to figure out how to implement. They do have an established relationship with HCD staff to ensure smoother reviews. In fact, I think they were able to get one of their seventh cycle elements through without any revisions from HCD. So I'm hoping that that will work for us as well. Yes.
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah. They have also, one thing I noticed in their proposal is that they've worked in fire impacted and fire threatened communities a lot, and they're really good at proposing creative solutions for housing in our type of community. They also have won several awards from the American Planning Association for their community outreach and communications. So in terms of what this would look like with our process and timeline, I don't know if you can see that too closely there, but the blue bar running all the way across the top is community engagement. So that happens throughout the process. At the very beginning, we would have a workshop, several meetings, and then numerous different planning commission meetings as well at different points in time, and other types of community outreach events, as we'll determine what that is once we get started. And then immediately with that green bar, you see data gathering and needs assessments. And all of those green bullets under data gathering are the things that need to be done before we could draft the housing element. We have to go back and review what happened with the sixth cycle. Did it work? What worked? What didn't work in it? What are our existing housing needs? What are the constraints to housing in our community and the opportunities for additional housing? And that would include doing a sites inventory of vacant land and city-owned land. We also are required to do a fair housing assessment that would be included and look for consistency in our general plan, and they would also be preparing a zoning code update to make sure that our zoning code is consistent with new state policy. And then the rest of this timeline is just writing the draft, bringing it to the public again, more workshops, HCD reviews it in the blue bar near the bottom there, and then finally city review and adoption by around July of 2027. So we would meet that August deadline. We currently have, in order to pay for this, this housing element update, which is scoped at about $180,000, we have REAP, which is Regional Early Action Planning grant program. We have REAP funds in the amount of about $145,000. And we're working on reallocations of that funding right now to make sure that all of that can go towards the housing element. And then the remaining funds would be reappropriated from savings in the Police Department and Office of Emergency Services general fund accounts. So the recommended action is to award the contract with a contingency for CEQA and authorize the city manager to execute related documents and appropriate those additional funds from the PD and OES general fund savings in the amount of $44,838. That's it. Happy to answer questions. Thanks.
Any questions?
I got comments, but no questions. So I get public first.
Any public comment on this item? The public has spoken.
Okay. First of all, thank you for such a quality RFP and selection process. It's not something we've seen a lot of here, and it was very well done. I appreciate that your filter for selection was rural and fire oriented. I think that makes a huge difference. Overall, very, very good job. I look forward to working with the consultants, and the focus on community engagement, as you understand, is so much a part of who we are. So really good job. Thank you.
I agree. It was, I like these guys. I've worked with other cities in doing this process and just in the grant world. And, I've heard of them before in the Sacramento area, and I know they do good work. And I just liked their proposal. It was really thorough, so.
Danielle?
Nothing new, Dad. Thank you.
I just like that the timeline gives us a little bit of a cushion too, finishing in June.
At least 2 weeks or so.
Couple months.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Thanks so much, Jessica.
Yes.
Let's have a
I-
motion.
I move that we award a professional service contract with Minter Harnish for preparation of the Nevada City 7th Cycle Housing Element amount not to exceed $179,950 and authorize a project contingency up to $10,000 for CEQA compliance and authorize the city manager to sign the contract.
Dean, does that do the trick?
I second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Peterson, second by Councilmember Fernandez, to award the contract contingency and authorize the city manager to execute related documents. I feel like a roll call vote.
Councilmember Peterson.
I feel like saying yes.
Councilmember Fernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yep.
And Vice Mayor Sisi.
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes. Very good. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
Yeah, very much.
We rolling through? Business item 6, consideration of award of professional services contract with Alta Planning and Design Incorporated for professional services for Nevada City Active Transportation Trails and Complete Streets Master Plan in an amount not to exceed $279,989 and authorize a project contingency of 5% not to exceed $14,000 and authorize the city manager to sign the contract. It's Brian McAllister and Community Development Technician Bethany Celio, everybody.
Hello, council members. Good evening. Bethany Celio, Community Development Technician, and I'm happy to present on this topic tonight. So we'll be talking about the Active Transportation Trails and Complete Streets Master Plan. So happy to report that we received a grant from Caltrans, the Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant, funded through SB1. And the intention of this funding source is to reduce greenhouse gases pretty significantly. And so we're going to try to do our part to help the state meet those goals. And so successful planning projects are expected to directly benefit the multimodal transportation system. So that's the overall idea. Our project objectives are to develop a safe and connected network of walkable streets and bikeways and trails that prioritize active transportation for everyone who lives here and visits. The plan will identify actionable and context-sensitive infrastructure improvements to improve safety, access, and connectivity for bicyclists and pedestrians while respecting Nevada City's historic character, which we all know and love, accommodating vehicular traffic, and strengthening connections to key destinations and recreation areas, public lands, and adjacent communities, including Grass Valley and unincorporated Nevada County, because we don't live in a bubble. Of course, we cross boundaries all the time, and we're a very interconnected community, so we want to be thinking about those connections as well. Our approach is going to be data-driven, but also with broad community outreach, finding solutions that are sensitive to the local context to create an implementation-focused master plan. So yeah, this was a great process. We sent out the RFP. We got 7 great high-quality proposals, and so staff scored, and we interviewed the top 2 firms, and we're happy to recommend Alta Planning and Design. A little bit about Alta. They're a national leader in active transportation design. They actually authored and co-authored some of the leading design guidelines. So it's pretty exciting to be working with them. They also have, they authored the Small Town and Rural Multimodal Networks Guide, which is pretty great because there'll be a lot of applicable examples for us in there. Some kind of small, but if you can kind of see it. So the overall project structure is that we're going to be going from, we're going to start by forming the project advisory committee, getting the word out there. The project management and coordination, we're going to be really leaning on Alta to help us stay on schedule and budget. And they also, we really appreciated Alta for their emphasis on public outreach. They really are great at community engagement, so we're looking forward to that. Then we'll go into data analysis. Then we'll be doing the master plan mapping, which includes recommendations and prioritization. It shows us what projects are feasible, what's the most popular and impactful. And then after that, we'll go into the draft report and project concepts, which sets the vision and tells the story, prepares priority projects for design or quick implementation. So some of these projects are going to be really big and expensive, and this plan will help get us ready to apply for construction grants for that. And then other things will be more quickly implementable. Here's kind of a timeline, so broken up into 3 phases. The first one is listen and learn. The second one is recommendations and feedback, and the third is actually creating the draft master plan. And in each of those phases, there will be opportunities for community engagement. So our recommended action is to give the contract to Alta Planning and Design. And then I also wanted to give the public a little tip on how to stay involved and updated. You can go to our website, nevadacityca.gov/notify-me, and sign up for alerts for when we post agendas for the City Council, and also for the calendar for events and meetings, because that's where it will be posted when we do workshops. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Bethany.
Excellent.
Great. Brian,
Excellent.
outstanding work as always. Do we have any public comment on this before we could discuss? Okay. Would anyone like to pipe up? Young man.
Yeah,
Sure.
pontificate. No, again, another great process, great RFP, and it's amazing how a really good RFP will get you really good results. Kind of works that way. But Alta, we're playing with the big ones here. They're very, very well known, and as you know, you always want the people that write the rules to be the people that you work with. It's very helpful. But nicely done, and again, a lot of community engagement, and that's what we love. So thank you very much.
Gary?
Yeah, Alta. I'm a huge fan of them. I've worked with their planning documents before, and the way they write them, in most cases, are really effective for grants. So that's my focus on this too. We need an active transportation master plan. We need one. We should have had one before the Zion Street project started, but here we are. Got a little ahead of us. But once we have this, we're a real community. With real, ATP chops. And so I really love it, because we got to get on the bikes, get out of our cars, and walk and bike more. So, and I was really happy to see your name on the RFP that you helped develop, and that was really nice. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a fun process.
Yeah.
I noticed that on page 51 of Alta's proposed master plan, they have a list of contract amendments. What is the status of those amendments?
We incorporated those comments. We went back and forth a little bit. So the contract that you have included in your packet has those revisions, and they were just all things that we could accommodate.
Indemnity stuff.
Thank you.
Very good. Danielle?
Great work, Bethany. Excited for this.
What are the two of you most excited about in this process?
I would say having a good trails master plan, because I've seen it work in Truckee. That Truckee did theirs around 2012, and they're actually doing this exact plan again. And we're going to be doing ours. Truckee's doing theirs, and it will roll into the regional plan that NCTC is doing. So, when you're talking about Pines to Mines trails or some of those connection things.
So excited.
It's pretty cool.
This is Brian being really excited.
Other than Truckee, are there any other communities that you think we could look to for best practices?
I would say what the Netherlands is doing right now is really exciting in terms of bike infrastructure. And there's a lot of small towns that have, narrow right-of-ways similar to ours. And the way that they fully separate bicyclists and pedestrians, or sometimes they actually mix and they bring the speeds down, but elevating the space to make sure that people know it's meant for pedestrians and bicyclists. So if you are sharing that space with a car, that driver is going really slowly and they're going safely. And so kind of thinking about all these innovative ways that places are making cities safer for for people to get out of their cars and really have a safe way to get from point A to point B without a car, which is really exciting.
Yeah, great answer. Sometimes when budget's an issue, you have to go Dutch.
No.
Just staring at Gary. Awesome. Hey, which community groups do you think you're going to want to involve in the process?
The whole list.
Yeah, we included a list in the RFP, but it's going to be pretty much every trails group, biking group. There's a really popular bike bus program that's gaining traction, and that's where the kids meet at Pioneer Park and they ride to school on Fridays and things like that. There's like a lot of groups that are already doing things, and all of them will be participants in
Yeah,
this.
we'll definitely invite them. Yeah.
Awesome.
Also Freed.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, you guys. Great job.
Thank you so much. Also, May is Bike Month, just so everyone knows. Get out,
A few more days of bike month.
That's right.
All right. Do I have a motion to award this contract?
I'm still stunned from the Dutch thing. I can't do it.
Sorry about that. Couldn't be helped.
So moved.
Seconded.
I've got a motion by Councilmember Fleming and a second by Vice Mayor Sisi to award the contract contingency and authorize the city manager to execute related documents for the grant-funded project.
Thank you for cleaning up after Councilmember.
I knew he would.
Let's do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Sisi?
Yes.
And Mayor, I'm sorry.
Vice
Mayor
Mayor.
Sisi?
Also yes.
It's a limited time.
Mayor Klein?
Yes. Thanks, you guys.
That's great. That's exciting.
And now we're going to take a bio break for 9 minutes. I don't know.
Let's try to hurry.
And then we'll proceed to the budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to continue with business item number 7, conducting a workshop for our budget for the fiscal year 2026-2027. And other things.
And other things. And I only have a 20-minute introduction, so I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
No.
Nevada City.
No, I wasn't a comment. I was just in general, because we're getting later. But first, I want to thank staff, particularly Stephen Earlson and Brittany Nundorfer for helping put together the budget, as well as all the department heads. In my almost 90 days on the job, I've been able to dive into the budget, meet with all the department heads, visit all of our facilities, understand city operations, but I still have a lot to uncover and learn. We're a small city with very large responsibilities. We're required to basically supply all the services, operations, and mandated reporting of larger cities, but with a lot less staff. The housing element that was presented this evening, in my former job, there were 5 people working on it and a contractor. And it's the same requirement that has to be done, with our planning department. So scale is very different here. And there's a lot that needs to get done. And I really appreciate that. Our team is it's small, but it's mighty, and they're getting a lot of great things done. So we're going to change up what you've traditionally done as a budget workshop to take a look at what has been accomplished in the past year. This is new for the department heads, new for you. I've got the clicker. They've got instructions to move through it very quickly from the podium. I would ask that you not ask questions of the department heads where we're going through it. And if there's something really that you want to know, they're going to be here and you can ask it at the end. And then we move into the more traditional part of the budget workshop that you have been accustomed to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The only thing I would add is we have received fairly informal requests from community members for budget support, such as the small grants program, free use of the Miners Foundry, that's a pretty long list, and some support for the arts. None of that is included in the budget. So I just want to say out loud, people have approached me. I'm reporting it to you here. It's not included in the budget. So we can talk through that later, but wanted to recognize the people that had outreached to me about budget. And with that, we'll have Jessica come up to the podium.
Thank you, Carrie. Jessica Hankins, I am the city planner. I have been here. Carrie, could you go back?
Oh, yeah, I'm just clicking over here, clicking buttons, sorry.
Almost 0.25 years of full-time employment. Not quite 3 months yet of full-time employment. And my department functions with 1.5 FTEs. So we've got 1.5 employees. In this past fiscal year, we have completed over 200 administrative permits and 60 discretionary permits. That means we have written over 60 staff reports and had over 60 presentations to the Planning Commission and City Council. It's an enormous amount of work for 1.5 staff people. We completed our housing element annual progress reports, and as you know from tonight, we have started the process for the 7th cycle housing element. We updated the ADU regulations this past year. We have started and we are continuing to work on pre-approved ADU plans for over-the-counter permit approvals. And we've also continued to work on a short-term rental ordinance that will be going to the voters soon. We've also begun some other ordinance updates with regard to the general business district and temporary structure use during construction. And there are a number of other ordinance amendments in the works as we speak. And so I was asked to provide some action shots. This is what we do. We sit and have meetings. So sorry, it's not very exciting. And those are the pre-approved ADU plans we're working on as well. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica.
I'm Brian McAllister, city engineer, and also the public works director. So I supervise Brandon and Shane, but they pretty much direct their crews on a daily basis. So it's more about compliance, capital projects, and providing engineering support for anything to do with water, wastewater, drainage, streets, sidewalks. So a big part of what we do is we try to bring in outside funds. So this year, we got final reimbursements for the Broad Street Y with $667,000 in state funds. The bridge project at an $8.7 million grant through the Highway Bridge Program. And then the two sidewalk projects, which we're just getting started on, have $1.5 million in state and federal funds. So those funds, together with our local Measure S, is really what is the backbone of the funding that we need for those capital projects. And we received another award for the bridge, which we didn't tell you about, but it was the Northern California Public Works Association awarded us with Project of the Year last fall.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Pierce. I am the Chief Plant Operator for both water and wastewater treatment facilities. I've been here just under 5 years, and I oversee 3 other operators. For the water plant, a couple of the highlights that we had this year, we established the plan to remove chlorine gas from our treatment plant and switching over to sodium hypochlorite. We've got ready for the water season with draining, cleaning, and repairing of our flocculation and sedimentation basins. We have also successfully implemented our annual preventative maintenance program. This is resulting in a reduction in costly repairs. And then we've also actually integrated a bunch of new instruments and integrating more monitoring analyzers and updating of older equipment. And we're working on advanced operating training on instrument calibration and programming, which is reducing outside contractors.
And he gets double time because he's got wastewater too.
Yeah, so I'll stay here for another moment. So also I oversee the wastewater plant. Some of the things this year was the completion of our compliance project for SCADA. We did an integration with flow pacing for ammonium sulfate chemical that we use to offset DCBMs. That was completed this year. We also did a SCADA upgrade to our PLC systems and kind of integration for the future to expand for control systems and operations with the plant. We also have added and repaired a lot of photocells for the plant, trying to get the lights to, reduce the energy costs. And then also completed critical repairs and faulty electrical systems in the process. And the last one is successful implementation of annual preventative maintenance, also resulting in less process failure or leading to violations. That's it.
Thanks so much.
Can't see good through these glasses either. They were obviously on the floor of my truck, so. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Shane. I am the Public Works Superintendent. I have 9 years of service to this city. I oversee 5 more Public Works and then 1 Parks as well. So during this year, we were privileged to start a relationship with the Foundry. We demoed and rebuilt the upper level of Miners Foundry for events, as well as the replacement of the floor in the green room, stairs leading to the upstairs, also cabling for audio and video production in the, what room is that, Osborne Woods Hall. And then looking forward to fostering the relationship and then whatever we can do to support their crew. 231 feet of new and repaired water service line. with also 13 miles of sewer line maintained and or repaired. What I'm really proud of is we repaired over 60 non-working or zero read meters. If you don't know what that is, it's meters that weren't in compliance or meters that we were losing money on. So that's still a work in progress because, as you know, our meters are old and we're having to replace these things all the time constantly, but we're trying to catch up. So also the sidewalk repair program, grinding to repair tripping hazards and identify future replacements. Our sidewalks are in the same disarray as most of our infrastructure, but we're getting there. The well and the storage tanks installed at Pioneer Park for irrigation, saving the city over 300,000 gallons a month in treated water. So if August of last year is when we finished this project, and 2 more months, it'll almost be a year with saving a bunch of water. So that's where we're at.
Nice.
Thanks, James.
Good evening, Dawn Zaidanis, Parks and Recreation Manager. I've been here 20 years and I supervise 20 to 25 seasonal and part-time employees. And I try to supervise Public Works and Engineering to get them to do my projects instead of theirs, but I usually don't succeed.
How's that going?
It's not working. They do. So we have this year successfully constructed 80% or more of the Sugarloaf Trail. We have taken on new recreation software. So I went from using 3 different programs to do all of my things to just one where people can register for programs and rent facilities. We served over 600 children and their families by teaching them swim lessons and having them attend day camps with us. We closed out our Prop 68 per capita grant, and that included changes at the playground with ADA equipment and then improvements at the tennis courts. And we applied for 3 more grants and secured the majority of our funding for the Pocket Park. So.
Yeah.
Thanks, Don.
Hello, City Council and Mayor Klein. I'm Lindsay Mullins. I'm the Operations Coordinator at the Miners Foundry. I've been at the Foundry for 2 years, and one of those years I've been a city employee. We have 9 staff members at the Foundry, 8 of which are part-time event-based. Over the last year, we've successfully integrated Foundry processes and employees under city management, created operational efficiencies, effectively decreasing our monthly overhead expenses, completed interior and exterior improvements to our historic and beloved building, fostered new and existing client, community, and nonprofit relationships. We welcomed the return of landmark events to the Foundry, such as Wild and Scenic Film Festival and the Mother's Day plant sale. And we filled the Foundry with more than 200 bookings, including concerts, weekly classes, city partnership events, weddings, celebrations of lives, proms, graduations, nonprofit events, vendor fairs, art shows, community gatherings, and a variety of other private and public events. Thank you.
Thanks,
Lindsay.
Hello, Mayor, members of council. I'm Dan Foss with your police department. I've been here 4 years next month, and I have 13 employees. So this last year, we had a great year last year. We had about 6,000, just over 6,000 calls for service, but what was even more significant was that was almost a 30% decrease from the year before. And the importance of that is it wasn't a decrease in proactive calls, those actually went up. It was a decrease in calls that were coming in, which is a very strong indicator that we were doing something good out there. A lot of those reduction in calls were based towards some of the homeless people on Broad Street. That has decreased dramatically, and we used to get a lot of calls for service for that. We provide support for more than 50 community events throughout the city. Those include the 36 or 34 chamber events and everything from, we do frequent barbecues on our wonderful little trailer for different events, or the events at the Foundry, or just the events through town. And that totals well over 150,000 visitors that we have to this very small town annually, which is a crazy number when you think about it, especially for 13 employees. Negotiate, well, the last one I'll talk about here is probably the one I'm most proud of, is we do really well at the department and my employees, which I'm really proud of them for, is we develop a lot of relationships with our community and our most vulnerable community members. We've done a really good job of developing relationships with those people and finding out what they need and the assistance they need and providing it for them and getting them on the right path. So that was our year in review. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Builder Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Mark Butchon, your fire chief. I've been your fire chief for about 7 years. I've been in the department for 24 and the fire service for over 30. Your fire department is now fully staffed with 37 personnel that work out of 3 different fire stations. Over the past year, we've continued to make steady progress in improving service to the community. 2 of those accomplishments are highlighted on the screen here. Through Measure B funding, we were able to hire 7 firefighters, increasing the minimum staffing from 2 to 3 firefighters and bringing staffing levels to the highest of the agencies in Nevada County. In addition, between July 1, 2025 and May 1 of this year, because everybody loves statistics, we've responded to 4,952 calls related for service, including 61 fires. Our focus remains improving service, supporting our personnel, strengthening our EMS clinical excellence, our fire response capabilities, and continuing to build on the foundation that we've established over the last years. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Hey, Evan.
Evan.
Honorable Mayor and Council, Evan McLenithan, your Community Risk Reduction Education Outreach Officer for the City of Nevada City. I've been with the city as long as the department's been in existence, which is about 2.5 years. I have a team of 4, almost 5 now, because we have some seasonal folks helping up on our fuels crew and defensible space inspections. This past year has been really busy for us, and I'm really proud of the work that we've done, including putting fire on the ground for the first time as a city, and from what I can tell, as the city doing it. We've also permitted some biochar kilns for residential use, so giving folks more tools in the tool belt to mitigate hazards. We're on our, right now, for this budget year, it was year 2, but right now we're implementing year 3 of our defensible space program with the software and community outreach aspect of it, which has been largely successful, and we've increased engagement quite successfully with folks wanting to walk with us and wanting the inspections versus just angry letters and violations. On top of that, really proud of the work that we've done to complete a CWPP, a Community Wildfire Protection Plan, and also implement that plan. We have planned and now are implementing a project in our open spaces, which is incredibly remarkable when you think of the time that it takes to put a project together and implement a project. We're very fortunate with great contractors and having our internal fuels crew to do that work. So really proud of that. Another side of the work we've been doing is creating some more foundational documents for a lot of these large events that we've been talking about. Incident action plans and emergency operation plans will be coming shortly. So with that, this is my great team. Very proud to be working with them, and they deliver on our CWPP, our strategic initiatives very well, and they're always out there and eager to meet with folks and solicit community input. So thank you for that, and that concludes my presentation.
Thanks, Evan. Found Sutter in your picture.
He's got like the Oscar music she plays. She's
Right, you have-
cueing here. Like this.
As we have Brittany come up to the table, because they'll start off with the rest of their presentation. She's going to have a seat. We're really excited to have Brittany back in the office.
Hi, Brittany.
Not working from home all the time. So that's been really nice this week. So happy to have her here, and I'll turn it back over to her for her slides.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Our finance and administration accomplishments this year have included implementing a new financial software system called Cassell, implementing a new payment website, Express Bill Pay, to allow our customers to have an account, auto pay their bills, and link multiple accounts together. We're implementing new agenda management software. We implemented NeoGov recruiting system. We distributed $458,000 in cannabis equity grant funds, and we completed field work for the 23-24 financial audit. And I forgot to say, my name is Brittany Neuendorfer, Finance Manager. I've been with the city since June of 2021. My 5 years is on Monday, and I oversee 3 people.
There you go.
I knew you from somewhere.
There you go.
So now is where we can turn it over to them, unless you have any questions for the department heads.
Thank you for this. It was just really, really nice to hear from the people that do the work. Thank you.
I like this presentation format.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
There's a speed round. Next year, there'll be more.
Good job. All right, so tonight we would like to present to you the 26-27 proposed budget. And as you know, our previous budgets have the same format as the one this year. You're going to see general information, which includes the process and other management information, our account structure, the glossary of terms, classifications of funds, and in case you didn't know, Becker Funds is related to expenditures made to advance the humane care of animals, and it was funded by a donation provided by Miss Beatty Becker. One of the financial summaries here is the water fund, and what we want to show you here is that the expenditures are overseeing the revenues, therefore we're running at a deficit of about $289,000. And moving into the sewer fund, the same goes for that. Expenditures are higher than revenues, so we're operating at a deficit of $184,971. Those numbers are related to the general fund taking care of that overage. So as you've seen some of the financial summaries, you're also going to see the pool and miners foundry in the document. You're going to see any estimated changes in fund balance and any schedule of interfund transfers that we are going to propose. All revenues, all expenditures, all program and departmental details, and then our 26-27 capital improvement program.
Good evening, Mayor and honorable council members. Stephen Erlinson, Program Manager. I've been with the city 3.5 years, and I only supervise myself, I think.
But you do it well.
Thank you. So I'm going to take over from here. So your core general fund revenue items are trending, for the most part, pretty decently. Property tax and property tax in lieu of VLF are both increasing by about 2%. That's our estimate. Sales tax, the good news is our third-party consultant, HDL, is projecting that Bradley Burns, that's the 1% piece that we get, is going to increase about 1.7%, roughly almost $26,000. But we are being very conservative with our revenue projections as well. And with gas prices being as high as they are, and certain other things going on in the economy that we really don't have any control over, we're kind of keeping our room tax flat to 24.25, but 6.7 decrease from amended budget. We can always true that up at mid-year if things are looking better than what we might be projecting here, but we want to be conservative. All right, expenditures in general. Of course, utility and fuel costs are going up. The cost of most materials are going up as well. There is a 3% escalator in the fire services contract effective October of 2026. That's been the same ever since I've been with the city. On the personnel side, there's a 3% COLA effective July 1st of 2026, and all of the MOUs with the bargaining units. And we're also anticipating that health benefits effective January 2027 will increase by an average of about 10%, which is consistent with prior years.
Wow, that's crazy.
We're also experiencing a 15.2% increase in the CalPERS unfunded actuarial liability payment. However, the city can achieve a 5% savings if we prepay that in July, rather than spreading it out over the course of the fiscal year. And then other expenditures throughout the budget are expected to remain relatively flat if they're not listed above. So we do have some vacant positions that will remain unfunded to account for the rising costs and the fact that water and wastewater and the wastewater and water enterprise funds are negative, as you just saw. So as such, we're going to have a police officer vacancy, an operator in training vacancy, and an admin services manager / deputy city clerk vacancy that we're going to keep on the books, the positions, but we're going to defund those positions at least through mid-year. So the proposed capital improvement plan in the current budget amounts to a little over $3.5 million. As you can see, most of the CIP program handles streets and roads, sidewalks. Sidewalks are a big deal this budget cycle. But some of your CIP major projects are the Railroad Avenue and Searles Avenue sidewalk projects. Buildings-wise, the house at Pioneer Park is another one, as well as the Miners Foundry rehabilitation project. We have a Prop 64 project as well, including 2 SCADA projects at the water and wastewater treatment facilities. So those are some of the major ones. Also, we have some general funded CIP projects. I think these are in order of priority, or what we think priority might be. The total general fund CIP funding there is $235,000, slightly more than the general fund CIP you've experienced in the past. But again, we wanted to bring this to your attention to show you the projects that are being recommended this evening. With that, I will turn the presentation over to City Manager Wright.
Thanks. Just one of the things that might not be super evident in the information as you're combing through a very large document is currently our general fund revenues are not, our expenditures and general revenue are higher than our revenues coming in. So over the next couple of weeks, we're looking to close that gap so that we're not spending the general fund that we don't have. We have, healthy reserves, things like that, but I want to be fairly cognizant in getting us into that system of making sure that what we pull in is what we spend. So when we look at the general fund projects, this is what we've heard, or what I feel that we've heard from you all as things that you want us to work on. I would say that the house at 425 Nimrod has some funding that's dedicated to it already, $100,000. So we're already working on that and trying to get estimates on things, and we'll bring that project back. But as we try and close that gap over the next couple of weeks, we might, reduce things on the swimming pools and things like that, because it is a higher general fund for projects that we've normally spent. And then moving on to fees, which is the area where I would like a little bit of feedback. There are quite a few fees that are outdated for our region. We've done some comparison. We can jump fees up pretty high, not pretty high, but higher than they are, to be equitable amongst kind of our counterparts in the area. So we've been doing some deep dives on things. There is we just go up 5% and leave it alone, or we could be fairly targeted and really take a close look at some of the ones that we're not charging accurately. I would like to do a full fee study at some point, but we know these are underfunded. They're not paying for the services rendered. And then there's it's fine to look at a fee schedule and kind of change the fees, make recommendations, and the department heads have been doing that. But then to ask yourself, what fees do we not have, because we've never put them on the list. So there's a few ones that we're looking at particularly, and I appreciate Brandon and Shane for bringing around the fats, oils, and grease inspections and noncompliance, because that does really impact our water. And as we look at restaurant uses and water rates, we need to make sure that even though they're not using these giant industrial garbage disposals, that if we have a bad actor, that we have some remedies with that. And we don't really have that right now. So we want to make sure that we're not sending all of that down to the wastewater treatment that becomes costly. So that's an example of a fee that we should be adding. Even if we do a year of education first with inspections, and then it's like, okay, we have someone who's consistently non-compliant, which is not necessarily the case right now, but we need to have those fees on the books so that we can be able to utilize them if needed. So generally looking for the temperature of this council, because fees can be a big trigger in a community. They don't need, but maybe they're not. There are a lot of cities that are using their fees and increases in fees because costs have gone up. So that's been a strategy for bringing in revenue. but it has to be kind of relevant and, you know, sized correctly. But there would be some pretty significant jumps. And so I want to, before I bring something that's like, you know, water connection fee goes up quite, you know, 30, 40%, that you've provided some feedback to us. But beyond that, I think that's the last slide. And that is your budget.
Thanks so much. Do we have any public comment on our budget for 26-27? There you go.
Oh, Diana.
Hi, everyone. Diana Gamzon, Executive Director of the Nevada County Cannabis Alliance. Just related to the discussion around fees, I saw perhaps a proposed potential 5% increase in fees. I know this is just the start of the conversation and it would, you know, start the process, but I would highly, highly discourage cannabis to be exempt from those fees, any type of fee increase. Currently, our cannabis businesses are paying $2,500 a year to have their business license and their permit, where a regular business license is, I think, about $100 a year, if that. I think it's $100 for 3 years. I'll get my stats exactly right when I make my full comment when the fee item actually comes to you for a vote. But I was reading in the, as I was flipping through the pages, that I think cannabis businesses have contributed their permit fees is about $50,000. And so a 5% increase, if that potentially was on the table, would be very significant to the already extremely high $2,500 per year cannabis fee. So just wanted to add that in. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana.
Thanks, Diana.
Any other public comment? Great. Council?
Gary's just dying.
I'm not. I could go last, you know. I don't have to go first.
Daniela?
Well, I'll speak to fees since that was the most recent thing. I would like a more targeted approach to the undertake of fees as opposed to like a blanket approach. I support the exclusion of any increase of cannabis. I'm glad to see the public art fee decrease there. I think that I'm super excited about that. What I didn't see on there was the empty storefront fee, and I don't, maybe that's not considered a fee.
We have that. My understanding is we have that fee. I just
Right.
need to be more clear about how we're collecting it. So that's,
I guess
yeah.
that's just what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Super excited to see the Clark Street lot and the house on Pioneer Park and Pioneer Park on the list for projects. And yeah, that's top of mind right now.
Thanks, Daniela. Great. Lou?
Who would pay the special event parking fee?
So I don't know how organized we can get before Victorian Christmas, but typically people are used to paying special event fees, parking fees. So we would want to adopt a range and then be able to implement that for special event days and look at additional parking lots. So in a perfect world, we would secure private lots that we can then charge parking on, and whether we do it as a revenue share with a nonprofit, whether we do that, you know, there's a variety of ways to do that, but we need the fee in place to be able to do it. So I believe our city engineer is bringing back on June 24th a report on our pilot parking program, so that we can better understand what's happening. We don't currently have, anyway, to answer the question, we would implement it on our high event days and visitors would be paying that special event fee.
Thank you, that was the direct answer.
Yeah.
So if they were to park in Grass Valley and take the bus, they wouldn't pay the fee?
No.
To Grass Valley, maybe.
The bus fee.
Yeah, the bus fee. Right. Just, it would be an additional incentive not to clog up our streets with parking.
Do you mind if I ask a clarifying question to that?
Sure.
So does that mean potentially like Nevada Street parking lot, Commercial Street parking lot, like our parking lots already, we would charge
Yes.
as well as?
Yes.
Okay.
Fellas?
I'm going to let Gary go.
I'm gonna let you go.
All right, one of the things I just was trying to wrap my brain around is the reconciliation between the general fund revenues and the appropriations. And how does that, I mean, how do you guys reconcile that with, the transfers? Because there was a little discrepancy, I thought, in some of the reconciliation. Does that make sense or no? You guys are looking at me.
I'm not quite following, Councilmember.
Just, when you're reconciling the balance sheet, what other, so you have, debits and pluses, right? And so what else goes into the, to balancing with the revenues with the appropriations? So, when you're spending money, is just a straight, equation, or isn't there other things that go into that appropriation analysis? I don't think I'm saying the question right.
Are you asking how we fill the gap between revenues and expenses?
Yes.
So it would be a use of, at this point, a use of general fund balance. And you have some, oh gosh.
So for all the deficits we have, that's coming out of the general fund, straight up?
As the budget stands right now, yes.
Okay, thank you. One of the other things I was gonna note is, and look, I'm a big fan of the pool, but I'm realizing now that we're subsidizing the pool pretty regularly, and it's about 50%. I think we need to be a little bit more transparent with that and say, hey, this is something that we do. We believe in the pool. We think it's a great community service, but we are supporting it at about 50% every year. And then what happened between the mid-year budget reorganization and the projected 2026, 2027 for the Foundry? There was some different, it looks like the Foundry's doing really well. Thank you, Lindsay. As far as generating revenues, we still have a deficit to make up from the first year we took over, right? And so were there some assumptions that revenue is going to drop with the revenue at the Foundry?
Yeah, so as we gain more experience running the Foundry, and we're fine-tuning operations and everything else, we've been able to determine what the real revenues are versus what we'd been projecting when the city first took over. Same goes for expenses. So when you look at the budget, you're going to see that expenses have decreased in some areas. We've added some more, but expenditures are projected to drop, and so are revenues a little bit. Not to say that we're losing money. It's a truing up of operations.
So truing up is the way to look at it.
That's the way.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
No pressure here. Okay, so I've got a couple things. I think it's really important to understand and back up and look at this budget from a bit of a bigger picture, which I tend to do. I first want to acknowledge that, hi, Carrie, welcome aboard. Here's your budget. And that what we have this year is a budget that will get us through next year and open the real conversations that we need to have. So I'm very, I appreciate the work that's gone into this, and I appreciate the deep diving that you are starting to do to get us to this point so that we have a budget that we can work with. I expect that we'll likely see one of the biggest mid-year adjustments that we've ever seen, that this council's ever seen this coming year. And I think it's really important to understand that. So, because we've got to have the budget, it's our working document, it's one of the most important things we do, and we've got something that we can work with to get us through that point. So that's one of my big ones, and I appreciate that work, and I see that. So I also want to point to what I've been speaking about rather perhaps loudly in public about the state of our budget and the state of our revenue generation and where we are as a community. And okay, so we're all looking at wastewater and sewer because it's really dramatic, but there are 100 other items that have not kept up either. And they are all out there. I like the swimming pool. It does run a 50% deficit, not a huge number, does serve a purpose. It's one step away from being a hole in the ground that won't hold water. And then what? You know, with our 150-year-old sewer lines, water lines. And this community, through its policies, has not grown its economic base in any way, shape, or form. And it has, in fact, been falsely constrained. So, but nobody's doing that for expenses, I promise you. I paid $100 for a tank of gas yesterday that I paid $60 for last year. And we buy a lot of gas, and we do a lot of energy. So all of these expenditures and these expenses and these increases are very alive in our community, yet we are flat again for the third or fourth year, right? Pretty close to that. But I would also say we're not flat this year, because how are we balancing this? There's 3 positions that will not be filled. That goes directly to the service capacity of our community. And if we have to do that by reducing positions, we're in a bad place. We've got great employees, they do a great job, but this is as lean an organization as you're going to find. So we, in the next year, the next 2 years, and we're looking at fees, and I do support a targeted approach, because some fees, looking at particularly development fees, hookups and stuff, they deserve to go up. It's paid by, on and on. I could go on and on. There's some of those fees that could really be raised legitimately. Others we need to be careful with and understand the impacts, including cannabis. I understand that. However, if we do not make some really, work with our city manager to make some innovative moves in the next 2 years, we're flat now, but we're this far away from a decline. And I think for me, I see that decline in 3 positions not being filled. So that's where we are with this budget. This is where we are, slice in time, where we are. And, it is incumbent upon this council, who is honest, legitimate, and kind of fearless, because we need to be, about moves that we need to make to ensure a viable economic future for our community. This budget wants to go in that direction. I'm convinced Kerry wants to take us in that direction, and we need to support that. And that's where we are. This is a worse budget than last year.
Yes.
Because we are cutting positions. And we're not cutting positions, we're just not filling them. We're taking our time filling them, and at mid-year, we might find out we have the money to fill them, and we'll do what we need to do. But I expect we're going to see a lot of adjustments, a lot of reconfiguration of any number of things that cost us money. So, but we need as a council to be ready to support that going forward, because it is about the future of our community. So that's what I got. But this budget's a good start, and it'll get us there, and congratulations. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
And it's conservative, too.
It's very conservative, and it should be.
Yeah. But, one of the things that you pointed out is the vacancies, and we were just talking about capacity a second ago. So I'm just wondering if, I'm not worried about the police department right now, but, the admin position there, that's a real position that, is impacting other staff members. So, hopefully by mid budget, we can bring that back.
Yeah, but it is, you're right, Doug. I mean, it does go to capacity, but that's what we needed to do to get this budget balanced. So there's a lot of work to do with fees going forward and that sort of thing.
And a lot of work to do in figuring out where our revenue generation is going to come from.
That's the big part.
Yeah.
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 Thanks, Gary.
Yeah.
Thanks to you all for great comments. I'm another voice for targeted fees.
Me too.
They should make sense for what's being provided, not be arbitrary. Like Danielle, very excited about the Clark Street parking lot project. That is going to be a gift to our downtown, our retailers, City Hall employees. I think people are really going to notice that very quickly. And also it's hidden away enough that I don't think tourists are going to know it exists. That's for us. Carrie, I'd talk to you about, I just noticed, and this isn't a big expense, but it was a mysterious one, on the city council budget, on the planning commission budget, on the public arts commission budget, I saw a line item for a telephone. And I thought, I've never been given a telephone for being on city council. And I can't imagine, the planning commissioners, it was few grand each
Yeah.
time?
So it is a split of the broadcasting and maybe somewhat mislabeled. So the services that we pay to have this broadcast in the contracts is split among the public meetings.
And called telephone.
You know,
Telecom, maybe.
We could
we could
update
probably
that. We
fix
could
that
probably
by June.
tweak that.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice catch.
Beautiful budget, thank you. Great to see you both. I miss you both. It's been ages.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Thanks for coming in, Brittany.
Yes.
I know it's not easy.
Yeah, welcome back.
Oh, good.
Glad you're okay.
And Steve, always a pleasure to have you come in as a special guest, live and in person.
Can I get a motion?
I don't think we need a motion.
You have to set the public hearing, correct?
Oh, we have to set a public hearing.
Or no? We just notice it as a public
Hey,
hearing?
why
Okay.
don't you set a public hearing? How's that?
What?
Why don't you set a public hearing?
Direction to staff.
Got it.
Oh, wow. That was quick. Are we done?
I'm hungry. How about reports and future agenda items? Carrie, would you like to start us off?
That's where my 20 minutes comes in.
Okay.
Now it's 20 minutes.
Just wanted to recognize our public safety teams during the windstorm response. We had a lot of teams out on the road, and they were working to coordinate with each other, so that was nice to see. Just continuing on my long list of things that I'm experiencing in Nevada City for the first time, I rang the farmer's market bell. I went to the pancake breakfast at the firehouse, sidewalk sales. I did the steam up with the council members and the mayor. That was fun with my family. The plant sale was amazing at Miners Foundry. I visited the Doris Foley Library, which I saved for a time where I really needed a pick-me-up, and it was everything I needed it to be. Went to the Fire Station Museum, which I mistakenly thought was about fire history, fire service history. So I was pleasantly surprised to see all of the treasures there. And then I took an unofficial tour of the courthouse by poking my way through a bunch of hallways. And then lastly, and then maybe you'll comment on this as well, we have our next art show debuting next Monday, Layers of Place, in partnership with the newly named Nevada County Arts Council, which is Nevada County Arts and Culture. So we've partnered with them, which was great, but the reception is at 7 p.m., preceded by the Pride flag raising. So, and then lastly, we are implementing a formal procurement process because we have software that we have part of. So as you mentioned, the RFPs, we are going down that road of a process improvement. That concludes my report.
Thanks, Carrie.
I'm sorry, a process improvement to write for writing RFP?
Procurement,
Nice.
a procurement process.
Nice. That's good.
I'm going to jump in. So Adam and I met with the Economic Community Development Committee, talked about the cannabis ordinance that is coming out of committee and will be coming to council soon. Also, short-term rental, we're going to have a little bit more of a public process and then bring it back soon, not as soon as the other one, but soon. Wanted to say that La Cage aux Folles is playing at the Nevada Theater. I've heard good reviews. Please go check it out. It's the June offering from Lyric Rose Theater.
Great play.
Monday at 6 p.m. we have Nevada City's 6th annual flag raising, Pride flag raising, which is super excited. There'll be some brief programming, and then of course we'll invite young people and families to put the flags up along Broad, Commercial, and Spring Street, and to be followed by the special exhibit at the Champ Gallery at 7 o'clock. And then on June 6th, we have Nevada City's Pride Parade. Super excited. We've got quite a few parade entries, getting all the logistics hammered out with the support of the chamber. Thank you, and law enforcement and public works. We're going to have a parade. It's going to be an evening parade at 6 p.m. There is an after-party variety show at the Nevada Theater at 8 p.m. Get tickets. It is limited. Have young people get tickets from the from a generous donor in the community. We're able to offer 50 free youth tickets, but they do need to be reserved. You can purchase those tickets or reserve those tickets on Lyric Rose Theater website. I will not be here at the June 10th meeting. I will miss the Pride Proclamation. Maybe I will make a little video or a little TikTok and send it in. And then finally, in terms of future agenda items, I've spoken with the Chief of Police, and I'd like for the council's support to direct staff to bring a review of our flock contract. I'd like to better understand the importance of cameras to our city and law enforcement, and then also some alternative options to flock.
Great.
Yeah, support that.
Sweet.
Sounds good.
From a timing perspective, can we put, just given kind of workload for June, can we give some, like within 60 days? Are we good with that? If you want a thoughtful analysis of the.
Thoughtful's good. We won't have a full council on the first meeting in June or the second meeting in June. I think it's important to have a full council in, so 60 days?
60 days.
60 days, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
No,
Chief.
thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Daniela, thank you. Gary?
Let's see. Evan and I had occasion recently through the Northern California Fire Affected Communities Collaboratory to visit Paradise and hear from people in Paradise and understand not just what happened, but what they're living through and trying to come back from a really horrendous disaster that totally decimated their community. It's very powerful. It's very painful. There's a lot of trauma still. They're still trying to figure it out. It's going to be decades. We are there to learn. As part of a group, we will be over in Lake County that's burned down a number of times and learn from the folks over there what their lessons are. And all of this is for our edification to understand how better to be ready when fire comes. So that's pretty important. I also had the wonderful pleasure of attending the Repair Cafe at the Madeline Helling Library. It was so great. It was super energetic. It was filled with people. I think a lot of you know this. I mean, for me, connection is the process, how we connect people. And the content in this case was the Repair Cafe, and it was just great. It was jammed with people. Michaela did a great job organizing it. Our friend Shirley Furkakis was there, a number of people, and a lot of, it was great because when somebody fixed your thing, you had to sit down with them. And so there was like this really interaction. Some of those interactions were really interesting, but it was a great day, and I understand that it's going to be a continuing effort, and it was really well received by everyone. So thank you for that. It was really a great thing. And I think I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Gary. Doug?
We got a committee tomorrow. We haven't had our other committee meeting, but we got a committee tomorrow, and we had a long table dinner that was really nice. I don't think we've talked about that here yet, have we?
What committee do we have tomorrow? What committee do we have tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
You just said a committee. Which
Oh,
committee?
we got, fire.
Oh, fire, yes, the fire. Sorry, Evan. Too many meetings.
Yeah, the long table was great.
Yeah, that was really nice. Good to see our city manager out there, getting to know everybody. Good to see what the performance that Lynn put on and her team. It was really well done. And of course, the mayor.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Golden shoulders.
First of all, I was happy that you were sick. I finally got a chance to be mayor. And on a personal note, I got to use my father's gavel again, my late father's gavel, so that was kind of cool. I was happy to see in the mail this XL Express bill pay, so I could pay my water bill online. And I think that's a great improvement. And today I got my notice of defensible space inspection from Camille. So I'm glad to see that those things are progressing well.
You brought props.
Yes. I will be part of the Cabaret Variety Show on the 6th. I'll be reading from my novel, and I hope everyone enjoys it and buys a copy.
In costume?
Not this time.
No?
No. I would love to play Mary Matter, one of my crazier characters, but this is for kids, so a mad woman wouldn't be a good role model.
Never noticed.
I attended my last commission meetings for the Transportation Commission and the Transit Commission. And it has been a pleasure to work with those folks and to see the detailed thought that goes into it, and the administrators are excellent. And whoever gets to take my place after I leave, you're in good hands. And that is it.
Thanks, Lou. Let's see here. It's the last council meeting before Election Day. If you haven't voted already, make sure you do. There are 2 seats. No such thing as an open seat. There are 2 seats for city council. I hear of some folks urging people to just vote for one candidate, and I guess I like democracy twice as much as they do, because I think you should use both votes. Tomorrow, there is the final candidate forum of this race at Sands Backup Plan Records, the record store on Zion Street. That is the younger voters forum, and since this is Nevada City, anyone under than 85, you count. That's going to be great. Graham Gardemeyer is going to run the show over there. Our just outstanding young man who's come before this council many times on various important things. Super impressive guy. And then immediately after that, at the Miners Foundry, there's the Nevada City Song Contest, and can't wait to see what that is. That's all I've got. Thanks, everybody, for sitting through the long meeting.
Wasn't the 4th Annual Honey Hills Festival amazing?
It was outstanding.
Did you see Tao
I
at
did.
the Fern with Michaela on bass?
That was very fun.
Such a special show.
Tremendous show. I hope that festival goes on and on and on for years, because it's 4 years running and it's great.
I move that we adjourn.
I like it.
I'll second.